everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful, if snowy, Salt Lake City,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show, the story the world cannot ignore, and neither could we.
No.
Nick Fuentes and Kanye West.
Oh, my God.
Yee.
Yay.
Is that yay? Oh, yay. Of course, Kanye. That makes sense.
Yay, verily, yay. And anyone out there who gets that reference, the reference that I just made, you get 10 extra points this year. And an A+ and a gold star.
Well, good for you, Dan. Giving out
Yeah.
little
Giving
nice little
out
things
little
like
gold
that.
stars and stuff.
All
For
right.
the yay, verily, yay. That's a
Oh.
Danny Kaye reference.
It's Danny Kaye?
Yeah. It's from one of his
Wow.
movies.
Oh my, I love a good Danny Kaye movie.
Oh,
Don't you?
that one in particular. It's a classic.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Wait, you're gonna go Danny Kaye over Ben Stiller?
All right. Well, first, Dan, before we get to the great disaster mess, whatever it is, that is Kanye West, we have some stories of the week.
Uh-huh.
And I've got something I want to start off with here that goes counter to sort of one of those widely held beliefs about religiosity and religious practice, which is that religious people, there's sort of a health benefit to being religious, right?
Right. People have been saying that for a while.
Yeah, and that it's a mental health benefit, that it's all of that kind of everything that would sort of
are super good for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what people genuinely believe, and there are literally tens of thousands of articles and studies and whatnot that connect belief, religious attendance, prayer, religiosity, etc., with any variety of health outcome. Right. But a recent research that was published in the Journal of Religion and Health takes a look at some data from Canada's General Social Survey.
Sure.
And parses out, this question, is there a benefit? And it turns out that atheists and agnostics tend to be just as healthy and satisfied with life as religious folks.
Take that.
Yeah. And it's really quite wild. Now, of course, this is Canada, so who knows how that's skewing everything. But I would suspect that these results would be applicable to, like, the United States as well. And
I wonder if it goes even further here, because atheists and agnostics tend to be better educated, and because of that, end up as a group maybe using healthcare in wiser ways. I wonder if we're in better shape, in better health. But I don't know. I'm just speculating.
So what it seems like to me is this study saying there's no benefit either way. Right. Sure. That atheists and agnostics, non-believers and what forth, that it's there seems to be no difference in these findings. Right. And let's see, the survey that they're basing this on collected data regarding religious identity, religious attendance, prayer frequency, and religiosity, which is gauged with questions like how important are your religious or spiritual beliefs to the way you live your life. And the survey also included assessments of self-rated stress, self-rated physical health, life satisfaction, and self-rated mental health. And the study, good Lord, it's a pretty big sample size. It includes 455 atheists, 215 agnostics, 2,080 individuals who identified as non-religious, over 6,000 Catholics, over 5,500 Protestants, blah, blah, blah. It keeps going on. So, I mean, it was a big study. let's see. And the findings, the research, I guess I should mention his name, David Speed. He's an associate professor at the University of New Brunswick. And as he's sort of broadly looking at these results, he decided to push it a little bit further, and the findings remain the same even after he looked only at the most non-religious atheists and agnostics and compared them to the most religious Catholics, Protestant, Eastern religion practitioners, and other practitioners. And it was the same. It's just this idea that there is a health benefit is completely bogus. It's based on old biases that religious folk had. Right. Well, of course we live our lives better. Of course we're better off. And so
right. We must be. Otherwise, why am I doing this?
Right. But what you brought up, Dan, though, I actually spent a little bit of time kind of thinking about, which is I have a bias in the other direction, just like you're stating, right? Which is, well, clearly we must be healthier. We must have more life satisfaction. And it turns out it's just not tied to those things. Don't seem to be, based on these findings, of course, don't seem to be linked to belief or non-belief.
Yeah. I mean, it's shocking that you, like, whether or not you believe in magic people in the sky is not the defining factor in like what your health outcomes are.
Yeah. Because, we're all just the same big slobs, right? We're the same,
we're just American bunch of big dumb idiots, and it doesn't matter what stories you tell yourself.
Canadians and people in the United States, we we lay about and are lazy at the same rates across the board, right?
I'm going to reiterate my belief that there's no such thing as lazy, but that's okay.
Oh, there's lazy.
There's no such thing as lazy. It doesn't exist. It's just people have reasons why they do or don't do things, and then people want to judge other people for those reasons, and that's where the word lazy comes from, is the judgment. Anyway, interesting.
Having no will to get anything done.
No, it means having low character, and that being what provides. Yeah. Anyway. Anywho, yes, I think it's fascinating. It doesn't surprise me at all that someone finally, because here's the thing, when you see those studies, when you see every time I've seen a study that's like, Christians are, happier, or Christians are healthier or whatever. If you dig into it and you read like the questions that they asked and who they asked and all this stuff, it's very easy to see why how the study was biased and why they got the results that they got.
What kind of fulfillment does prayer add to your life?
Right.
And you're like, well, it doesn't. Oh,
right. They're not going to say
poor non-believer.
Right. Yeah, you're right. So there you go. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
My slant encourages me to believe it. So there you go. So I'm going to start the next story with a little anecdote of my own.
Oh, okay.
I had a very funny moment a couple years ago. I went to the American Atheist Convention. This was a few years back, and it was in Cincinnati. And got into the Uber from the airport to the hotel where the convention was taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And though nothing was said, in that Uber were, for my benefit, were laid out several pamphlets about Jesus and about God and about blah, 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 blah.
Gross. Which,
considering where we were headed, I really wanted the driver to ask me. Just because I wanted that driver to feel very uncomfortable.
You should have just brought it up.
I should have.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't have, because because the truth is that I don't want any of us to feel uncomfortable. That person made me uncomfortable by putting those things there.
Which is why you should have brought it up.
It's why I should have brought it up.
Should have discussed your discomfort.
Right. Yeah. And I have done that with other drivers about other things. I once had a driver say a racist thing to me.
Oh God.
They heard about that. But it turns out that this is a trend. This is a thing that is being encouraged in the Christian community.
No.
And it is a thing that is happening a lot, to the point that the AP actually wrote a whole article about it. And it's not just pamphlets. Drivers are now trying to talk Jesus at their captive audience for the length of their rideshare rides. Which
there's no quicker way for me to leave a 1-star review.
Exactly. Like, I don't know why this isn't happening all the time.
I mean, if you're if you are actually making your living or supplementing your living by driving for one of these companies, you're a fool for doing this. Yeah. Because you will you get enough 1-star reviews, you get enough negative reviews, they're gonna not let you drive for them anymore. At least that's how it used to work.
I wonder if Uber and Lyft are making exceptions for this. It's because they're not doing anything to police it. This is one of those things that Uber and Lyft should be emailing all of their drivers, don't do religion in the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a no-brainer. It is such an easy, obvious thing because you're going to make someone uncomfortable.
Right.
Guaranteed. Even believers you're going to make uncomfortable.
Well, and it's just not the place, right? Like you're providing a service.
Yeah.
Right? This person is just trying to get from point A to point B. How dare you interject your worldview into the whole thing about anything, but much less, religion.
Yeah.
People don't
politics,
like being preached to.
These are bad ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently this is happening a lot. Hemant Mehta had a collection of tweets about it.
Oh,
people tweeting, "Why is my Lyft driver preaching the Bible to me?" It is a common thing. There are some atheist groups. The FFRF is calling for both companies to end it before it gets bad.
Good.
But gosh, it is just, I can't imagine something more likely to ruin a Lyft ride for me or an Uber ride for me than them, So what are your thoughts about, are you saved?
Yeah.
How about that, Jesus?
Well, I have long wanted there to be an option when you're ordering a car to come pick you up, for there to be a little checkbox. Do you want conversation or not? Right. And I want to be able to say before I even get into the car, I'm not here for conversation. Right. Yeah. I don't need you asking me personal questions. The guy last night, it actually turned out to be kind of funny, but we were coming back from a restaurant and we took a Lyft, and the guy starts asking us all of these, what's the craziest place you've ever been type questions. And all these, get to know you, you're an 18-year-old on a date type, get to know you questions. And you're awkward and you don't know what to do.
Or it's an 8-hour corporate meeting that
yeah,
there are trainers in from out of town that are going to train you on some bullshit.
Yeah. But it's I mean, at first I was just don't talk to me. Right. And also we get into the car and he's like, oh, that's a nice looking restaurant.
Oh,
and we were just just out for a Friday night. Oh, that's just a Friday night for you. And we were like, oh God.
What was the restaurant that was so fancy?
HSL.
Oh, okay.
It's not that fancy. It's a nice restaurant, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I don't want them talking to me at all. And so when actually started talking religion, bleh, bleh, gross. I think in this town they know better though.
Oh yeah. In this town, the nice thing about Salt Lake City is that they do their proselytizing elsewhere. They send their
Mormons,
people out into the world.
Yes.
So the rest of you in the rest of the world get our missionaries, but we really don't.
They're here. They are here.
And their regular parishioners are not encouraged to proselytize. That is for when you're on your mission and not when you're just around town.
Right.
So that's nice.
I think in general, though, the general just sort of don't talk to me about religion sentiment is strong enough that anybody who's going to try it, like, they're going to get an earful. I mean, if he had like started talking, I would have like, nope.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not just me. I know there's a lot of, anyway.
And by the way, to all of you out there, that is a very appropriate response if your Lyft or Uber driver starts talking about religion. Literally just, nope. A very loud, very forceful nope will be sufficient.
All right. Well, Dan,
Yeah.
I've got a story concerning our local church.
Oh,
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
the Mormons.
They have a number of universities.
They do.
Brigham Young universities, to be precise.
Yeah.
The main one being in Provo, but there's one in Hawaii. That might surprise some people.
Yeah.
There's also one up in Idaho. Brigham Young.
That's the real good one.
Brigham Young University, Idaho.
Yeah. It's the BYUist of the BYUs.
It's more of what you would expect than anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's the grossest. Anyway, a couple years ago, the church created something called the Ecclesiastical Clearance Office. Have you ever heard of this? They basically approve or clear, right, employees of the church's education system, right? Which would include its universities, its seminaries, its so forth and so on. By seminary, we don't mean where like people go and get trained to be
a priest.
Priests. That would be way too much for them. This is where teenagers get indoctrinated during school hours. But nonetheless, so the whole point is they've always had like this ecclesiastical like endorsement thing, right?
Right.
Where like employees would have to have like go to their bishop and have a little interview or just have them fill it out. However it works, I'm not entirely fully sure. But, and just say, hey, yeah, this person is a member in good standing, blah, 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 blah. Send it in. As long as you had it, no big deal. Well, this is basically, they've created some sort of like Stasi from the sound of it, or Gestapo, that is really taking this mission very, very seriously. There have been a couple of instances recently of where these online professors or instructors for a couple different programs were released from their positions. Just here you go. You are hereby fired. We no longer need your services.
Right.
Because it wasn't an issue with their bishop saying, no, I don't think this person should be in, teaching anymore. It was literally just some finding at the ecclesiastical clearance office. So much so that nobody knows. Like their supervisors have no idea what happened. They've been trying to find these, answers. And I'll go through a couple examples. The guy who got released, what was his name? Doesn't really matter. Anyway,
stop using the word released though. He was fired. This was, don't use the Mormons like bullshit word when it's very clear that this was just someone being fired from their job.
So he had just a few weeks, I guess, before like his bishop filled out his form, he had sort of expressed some concerns to him. He says just like casually, like it was like a hallway conversation, is how he describes it, about the church's teachings on marriage, family, and gender, specifically regarding the LGBTQ community.
Boy, you really fucked up those letters. I'm just going to say.
LGBTQ. There you go.
There you go. You got it.
I just said it. Community. Anyway, and the bishop had sort of in the questionnaire, which apparently has like grown in scope, right? It used to be this really simple little thing, and now it like asks all of these like in-depth questions, specifically if they support the church's teachings on marriage, family, and gender. And so the bishop honestly answered and said that Brother Buswell has expressed some concerns around the issue, but he is honest in his desire to understand the Lord and will come to the right decision on this, is what the bishop says.
Right.
And it is the only thing that anybody's been able to suss out that suggested that this guy maybe doesn't have like a 100% I'm in line with the church attitude, right? And then there was this woman who also was released, Dan, that's for you, from her position. And you're right, fired. And she said that she's clear. She's like, she wasn't shy about raising concerns from time to time, like in faculty meetings, about how the curriculum treated the gay community. And in fact, she remembers a time where she pushed back against a video that theorized mothers contributed to same-sex attraction in their kids. And she said that the speculation in the video was at odds with the church's own stance spelled out on its website.
Right.
That it does not take a position on the causes of same-sex attraction. Right.
Right.
And so she's clearly a little bit of an agitator from their perspective, right? Just by honestly asking questions. She also talks about like how students would come to her, or she's had students come to her after a class is wrapped up and say, you know, I'm really glad that you talked about some of your own, you know, struggles with faith. Like that actually meant something to me because I've had questions, and that example has helped me decide to stay in the church. Okay,
yeah,
whatever.
That's not how the church sees that.
But that's not how the church sees it. They want the perfect example. They don't understand that there's some people that people question, right?
Right.
And seeing others who question, who's decided to stay in, could actually be a way to keep people in, right? But instead it has to be 100%, 100%. And so she's out, right?
Yeah.
But with no explanation, like they get a call. It's nobody that they know. They're just called some rando from the office that, you know, fires people, and they give no explanation. Your contract
this is brother so and so from the office of firing people.
Yeah.
And you're fired.
Yeah. And it's just,
yeah, I gotta say, I think your take on this might not be seeing the forest for the trees entirely, because you're saying that everyone's baffled, that they're trying to figure out exactly what the infringement was. I think the point here is that the church just wants an excuse to fire people without having to show cause. And this is their reason. This is their workaround. They don't care about, like, anyone who's an agitator, they can just get rid of by saying we revoke we don't fire you, but we do revoke your ecclesiastical endorsement, and therefore you can't work here anymore.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's...
They just want to get rid of the agitators, and, you know, any other university setting, it would be hard to get rid of these people. You would have to show cause beyond just, we hate how they like gay people.
Right. Well, and the way that the thing that I wanted to tie it into was that the church has gotten some decent press in the last couple weeks about their support of this what is it, the defense marriage. It's not defense of marriage, respect for marriage, or whatever. Anyway, the gay marriage bill that just went through Congress, or is making its final little bit of the way through Congress, that would, you know, enshrine gay marriage as, you know, a right, at least federally in this country. And, you know, they're getting, because they came out and they were in support of this after they'd gotten some, like, you know, religious concessions and whatnot and the whole thing. But, like, make no mistake about who these people are, right? Like,
exactly.
They finessed that situation so well in order to get some good press out of it.
Yeah. Their PR department is not the same as their retaining professors department.
Yeah. So they're getting good press all while they're releasing people from their positions, firing people over having some questions about, you know, the church's stance on gay marriage and gay rights and just the place for gay people in the church. Right. And it's like, make no mistake who they really are.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, So my next story is a huge bummer. So trigger warning. There's
okay.
Not just about the bummer. We're gonna mention rape and we're gonna it's ugly.
Okay.
In Los Angeles, there has been a mistrial in a rape trial against actor Danny Masterson, who was on that 70s show. He was the curly redheaded guy on that 70s show.
Okay. Yeah.
He is accused by 3 women of rape between 2001 and 2003.
Huh.
Including a former girlfriend.
Oh wow.
And here's the thing. One might be tempted to ask, why has it taken so long for this to even go to trial? That was many, many years ago. Well, here's the trick. There was a thread that linked all of these people, Masterson himself and the 3 accusing women. And that link was the Church of Scientology.
Oh.
And if you've watched any of the documentaries, or if you've done any reading at all about the real effects of the Church of Scientology and how they operate in the world, then what you'll know is that they love having celebrities in their midst and will do almost anything to protect them.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So when these women started to say, hey, this guy is a horrible person who has done horrible things to me, the Church of Scientology said, you shut the fuck up.
Wow.
And literally strong-armed them for years.
Good Lord.
Masterson is still a member of the church. And by the way, if you think that like leaving the Church of Scientology will then get you out from under their ability to harm you, you don't know about the Church of Scientology. Because these guys will harass you. They will literally spy on you.
Yeah.
They will, and they did. They basically have been they've done what they do. Their whole shtick is anyone who says anything, who's willing to say anything that might hurt them, they hound them, they harass them, they spy on them. They look, they set up online accounts, fake online accounts, just to slander them.
Yeah.
It is a full frontal assault against anyone who might be able to make their church look bad.
Right.
So what has happened is that they were unable to get full. What do you call it when the jury can't agree on anything?
The hung jury. Were they a hung jury?
Indeed. Yeah.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Okay.
So literally they so they've had to declare a mistrial. It's going to happen all over again. They're going to have a whole new trial. Hopefully the prosecutors have learned their lesson, because the thing is that the Church of Scientology is a big part of this whole thing, and they can afford really good lawyers.
Yeah.
And so can a Hollywood guy.
Yeah. Boy, this just makes me wonder what Tom Cruise is getting away with.
Well, you don't need to wonder.
Oh.
It's a lot.
Is it? Do we know?
Well, no.
Because that's what I'm saying. We've never heard anything, right?
I mean, I've heard a few. A few fairly credible rumors, mostly about just gay stuff. Which would be fine,
right?
If he'd just come out with it, but
yeah,
he doesn't want to own it. So okay,
well, whatever. Yeah, they're gross. I don't like Scientology.
No, they're bad people.
I'm going to say it. I don't like Scientology.
Oh my gosh, that is a controversial position for you to take. I can't believe you've done so.
Goodness gracious, Dan.
Enjoy having a camera on your house 24/7 now, Frank.
Probably already do.
Right? Yeah, but that's mostly from the Mormons. We're under the Scientologists' radar at this point. Maybe not after this story. We'll see.
Oh my God. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I've got some good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's have a little
good news.
A little palate cleanser after
sweet
after that one. It turns out, according to Census 2021 over in the UK,
yes.
that England and Wales, for the first time, fewer than half the people describe themselves as Christian.
Well, there you go.
It is now a Christian minority. Well, those are two now Christian minority countries. Yeah, I guess that's actually the right way of saying it. Yeah,
which is funny. That's a funny way of putting it, because by far more people are Christian than any other category. So I don't think you can call it Christian minority, but it's just fewer than 50% of the people are Christian.
It's a plurality.
It's more and more. Jesus has far less of a hold there than he used to.
All right. Anyway, so the numbers. Let's hear some numbers. In 10 years prior, in 2011, 59% of those two of England and Wales said that they were Christian. That's down to 46%. The people who say they have no religion was at a quarter of the population 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. That's now up to 37%.
Nice.
During the same time, and the article points this out immediately, Muslims rose from 4.9% to 6.5%.
Sure.
During the same period of time, which of course, I don't know how I feel about that. But
I mean, wasn't the whole point of Brexit to keep that from happening?
I think people...
If you can't keep the Muslims out, what's the point of Brexit? Why did we even Brexit?
Well, I mean, maybe these are people who got in before Brexit.
Fine. They made it in under the wire. We Brexited too late. We should have Brexited faster.
Yeah, I mean, this article gets into like sort of race and ethnicity breakdowns, which, the number of white people in proportion to non-white people has gone down and so forth and so on. So, the UK is changing.
So it's all good news.
Everything about it is great news. Not for, believers, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot of Christian or Church of England folk who are wringing their hands.
Yeah,
trying to figure out.
Justin Welby is very upset about the whole thing.
Why don't we appeal anymore to the masses?
Is that his name? Justin Welby?
I think you got that right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not much more to it. I just think it's remarkable. They seem to have been on a path that we are following, and that just warms my heart. We obviously
global trend.
We obviously have an evangelical issue in this country and a Christian nationalist issue that is alarming. But yeah, I'm still hopeful.
They may actually be nuking themselves right now. We'll talk about that later in the show. But
well, I mean, some could point at the de-Christianization of the UK, and also at the fact that they are having problems. That whole keeping a prime minister for more than 3 weeks issue.
What they need is more prayer. If they had more prayer, they could hold on to a prime minister.
That believers and outsiders could easily point to and be like, great example, everyone. But yeah, anyway.
Oh, there you go. Well, for our final story, I'm going to take us to Thailand and a Buddhist temple therein. And here's the thing. A lot of people hold up Buddhists and Buddhism and a Buddhist monk as sort of the epitome of peace of sort of being at one with the universe or whatever you want to say. Like people, like you hear a spiritual person talk, and I don't, a spiritual person. They're going to be impressed by Buddhists and Buddhist monks. They're going to be, you know what? They know something we don't.
Yeah, mindfulness, Dan.
Yeah. And look, I'm all for mindfulness. But let me tell you something. I have long maintained that life in a Buddhist monastery has got to be the most boring life possible. You got to be a special brand of person to be able to even tolerate it.
It's full of mind, Dan.
It is. It's full. It's true. There are minds in there, but I got to tell you, I feel a little vindicated.
Oh,
because this particular Buddhist temple in Thailand literally has no more monks for one very specific reason.
Okay.
They were all defrocked.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I didn't know. You can be drug tested as a Buddhist monk. And literally every monk in the monastery tested positive for meth.
What?
Every one of them.
Oh, geez.
Positive for meth. Now, let me tell you something.
Yeah, okay.
Meth is not a drug that you do when your life is going great.
Or when you want to be at peace.
Right, exactly. When peace and like calmness and serenity is serving you well, you know what you don't turn to? Methamphetamine is what you don't turn to when things are going good.
I bet they got some meditating done, though.
some
serious high-speed, intense meditation.
I just powered through like 4 meditations in like 15 seconds. This is amazing, you guys. You got to try this.
I bet it was clean, too, that monastery.
Oh, my God. Meditation. This is a new thing. We're going to have to start. It's going to happen. We're going to export this. Yeah. So, apparently in Thailand, it's pretty damned easy to get meth. They have meth pills. I didn't know this.
What?
That they call yaba.
Oh boy.
And you can get it for like 50 cents.
Oh no.
So
well, I mean, like ritual use of various different kinds of drugs. You know, this does occur in many different traditions, right?
Yeah, I don't think meth has ever been one of those. Maybe it should be. I've never tried meth myself.
I mean, maybe they've attained some sort of new kind of enlightenment, you know? Like, who knows,
They're all just like wandering, like sort of speedily buzzing around the monastery like I'm the next fucking Buddha. I'm fucking Buddha right now. You guys don't even know. I have seen things that would blow your mind. I know how the universe works.
Yeah. I mean, what if you really need to blend some traditions here. You need to get some ayahuasca going with some methamphetamine and just like, you know, you meet the creator spirit with intensity.
And you party with him. There you go. Well, if you have ways of partying with the creator spirit that you'd like to let us know about, please feel free to write into us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We've got more show coming up.
Well, Frank,
Dan,
we're at the end of the show. We're going to be talking about. Look, we've been hearing right-wing, like extreme right-wing dog whistles for a long time now. Yeah. Trump opened a door and a floodgate, if you will, and racists and anti-LGBT people and you know, anti-Semites have just poured through the floodgates, but they still know that they got to like keep it on the down low, and like we'll use words like globalist and critical race theory, and then we're not the racists, you are, or whatever.
Right.
But it's starting like the rest of the dam is starting to crack, and the as we will discuss, the quiet parts are being spoken out loud. And here's the thing. It's not just us talking about this. So I wanted to play a clip. This is a guy who, by the name of Vincent James, who is interestingly, not on any platform that I'm on. I don't know this guy. And he'll talk about that a little bit, but he's actually referencing the fact that there was a recent dinner, did not go well, at which this was at Mar-a-Lago, at which former President Donald John Trump hosted Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, who's one of the most openly vitriolic, hateful people on the internet.
Yeah.
We've played some of his clips. Young guy, nobody should be paying attention to him. So the fact that he is getting attention, the fact that he is attending a dinner with Kanye and Trump says a lot.
Right.
And here's what this extreme right Christian nationalist nut job is saying about that fact.
Okay.
We have, in fact, infiltrated the mainstream flank of the GOP. Just look at what Tucker Carlson is talking about lately. These things just sort of happen on their own. Now, of course, if we had a platform, if we were able to speak freely, if we were allowed on YouTube still and allowed on these platforms still, then these things would have happened a lot quicker. But you can see which way the wind is blowing. The way that Tucker Carlson is talking right now is because the wind is blowing that direction. The way that Charlie Kirk is talking on Twitter, the way that Matt Walsh is talking on Twitter is because they see which way the wind is blowing. Now, whether they're authentic or not in their views, I would argue that some of them certainly aren't, and they just see which way the wind is blowing. There are some that are. And this is what Tucker Carlson is talking about, the 1965 Hart-Celler Immigration and Nationality Act, and talking about what Ted Kennedy promised during this act, and saying that it completely transformed the nation, and talking about demographic change. Like, this is something, these are things that you never thought you would see on Fox News. You have people taking over school boards, and you have, 1/3 of the people that got elected into House of Representatives were all like they denied the results of the 2020 election. People taking over school boards and talking about the degeneracy that is being pushed in schools. We have parts of the nation talking about secession, talking about banning gay marriage and banning contraceptives. And we have, in fact, our beliefs have, in fact, infiltrated the mainstream flank of GOP politics because people are beginning to see that our views, our worldview, our beliefs are the inevitable conclusion, or need to be, rather, the inevitable conclusion and the necessary reaction, actually, to what's happening to the country today.
So, 60% of that could have come out of our mouths.
Yeah.
Because he's seeing the same trends that you and I are seeing.
Yeah.
He's just happy about it.
Right.
And this is a guy who, in case you couldn't tell from that clip, thinks that Fox News is way too mainstream.
Right.
He thinks that Fox, which is objectively extreme right. And biased, heavily biased in its extreme rightness. He thinks they're way too tame, nowhere near extreme. To his mind, they're center.
Right.
So yeah, that's where we're at, kids. That's what we're up against.
Oh, good Lord.
Anyway, we'll get into that more later. We had some folks write into us and call into us. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna start us off with Stu, the fallen away Jew, as he likes to sign off. Mm-hmm. Who says, first of all, he's talking about last week. Do you remember we had a writer in who was a piano player for a church in the Midwest, and
yes,
and was dealing with a lot of people just assuming that even though he's gay, he's a Christian.
Right.
Anyway, Stu says, first of all, the piano player who wrote to you on the November 9th podcast, if the piano player came out as atheist, he would risk being fired for, quote, reasons. And that's probably true. One thing we didn't talk about was he could lose that church gig.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For sure. Second, the American Taliban are, at this point, just as dangerous as Muslim extremists, and in small in small town Midwest, right-wing gun owners are ubiquitous. I live in a very religiously conservative area in the Midwest. It's so religious, in fact, that at least up to this point, it's safe for me to be Jewish, since that's a religion too. This, of course, might not be the case with the increase of anti-Semitism. Sammy Davis Jr., who was a convert to Judaism, once said that if he went to the South, they'd lynch me twice. So perhaps as a Jewish atheist, I too might be lynched twice. I think that's, there is danger there now. I don't know how prevalent the danger is, but there are synagogues getting shot up. It's hard to know. The crazies are starting to be activated.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And that's spooky. That's pretty scary.
And just the fact that it feels scary, right? Just the fact that people are like getting concerned is fucking alarming, right?
Yeah.
And
the truth is that you're all probably pretty safe. Like, these things are, even though we see them more and more on the news, they're incredibly rare per capita. The chances of you encountering it are very low, but still, it's still very scary out there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Indeed.
Stu concludes, yes, I admit I have hidden behind my Jewish background to protect me from the shunning that would certainly befall me if I were to come out as an atheist. Sadly, that protection may be disappearing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a little weird out there. We have a voicemail, do we not?
We do indeed. This is a listener chiming in on the conversation that keeps going from show to show, week to week, about the Pope and whether or not he is complicit in the child sex abuse cases that are rampant through the church.
Great.
Hey, it's Ines from up in Canada. I was just listening to the episode where you had a caller call in and insist that Pope Francis must be complicit in the rampant sex abuse going on in the Catholic Church. And I just wanted to let you know that according to The Guardian on March 4th, Bishop Gustavo Zanchetta in Argentina was convicted of said charges. And Pope Francis denied that the charges were accurate and even tried to create a position to get this bishop out of Argentina and protect him. So yes, Pope Francis is complicit with the child sex abuse that is rampant within the Catholic Church. Have a great day.
Well, fun. Hooray, we got him. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I mean, it's like anyone who would be surprised by that thought is just not paying attention,
or very, very Catholic.
Right. Because I mean, pretty much the job, one of the job description points, the bullet points in the job description of an archbishop or a cardinal or whatever is shuffling around priests to make it look like there's no child rape happening.
And it's in the job posting.
Yeah. It's like, why do you want to move up from your position as priest to being a bishop? Well, are you good at, we'll call it reorganizing your organization.
Or, travel agent experience is preferred.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, my Lord. All right, Marcy wrote into us. Hi, Frank and Dan. Absolutely love you guys and the podcast. And yes, I donate. And that's right, Marcy. That is the correct way to show your appreciation to us.
Thanks, Marcy.
Thank you so much. One of your discussions on the 8th concerned the political visibility of atheists. I am verbally open about my atheism in conversation. I do attend rallies and donate, but have not always made it obvious on those occasions. I pledge to do so henceforth. Also, I always respond to take action alerts from organizations when they email me such requests, but I'm quick to sign and send. From now on, I will modify the content to read, as an atheist constituent of your district, state, or whatever, or atheist activist for your cause, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think this is so smart. Thank you for making me stop and think of what more I can do to shine a light on atheism.
That's really,
I think that's
really
such
smart.
a great idea. Like, it's so simple, but yeah, literally, if you're writing to your congressman, if you're writing to whatever, throw it in there.
Yeah.
Just be visible about it.
Yeah. Because you know that, like, the religious folks, they don't pause and stop, like, they don't stop themselves one bit from saying, you know, I'm a good standing member at such and such Lutheran church, right?
Yeah.
Like
as a good Christian,
I think blah, blah, blah. I object to this. Yeah.
But I love the idea of, like, they need to see much more. Like, their constituency is 30% us, nuns, at least.
Yeah. And they need to see that.
But, you know, people, they don't feel that yet. So great idea. Just and not just with your politicians, with the causes that you believe in. Let them know that, like, there is an atheist contingent of people addressing that.
Yeah. No, that's great. Super
I love
smart.
it.
Yeah.
Well, we have some folks to thank. I'm going to start us off. Charles is now a new subscriber over on PayPal, and we will dub Charles a deacon. Thank you so much for and welcome to the magic powers that we bestow on people. Robert is also a deacon. Thank you so much for your one-time contribution. We really appreciate that. And then you got some folks to thank too.
Yeah, well, I have Daniel, who's a new deacon,
and got such a handsome name.
And over there on Patreon, I guess I should say. And if you'd like to join Daniel and these other kind folk in supporting the show, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. And there's some options there. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Devas.
More show coming up. All right, Frank.
Damn.
We've been talking about it the whole show. We're gonna dive into this whole Kanye Nick Fuentes thing, but I wanted to launch into it with a clip from Kanye and Nick's appearance.
Oh boy.
On Alex Jones's show InfoWars.
Oh boy.
The now bankrupt Alex Jones.
I've somehow avoided actually listening to it until now. So.
What you need,
I'm excited.
Listener at home, what you need to be imagining, if you haven't already seen it, is Kanye wearing a full face black
I've seen
mask.
Pictures. Yeah.
He's
wild.
It's like a ninja who forgot to cut holes for his eyes. And there's no explanation for this. There's no reason. And matter of fact, throughout the show, Alex kept asking him to take off the mask, please. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Though the whole thing was astounding.
Yeah.
Positively astounding. And I'm going to launch in with, it's because, look, you know what happened here if you're not living under a rock. Kanye basically came out as a Nazi, essentially. He kept saying how we need to stop saying that the Nazis are bad because they did good things and blah, blah, blah. And literally, like, I've never seen anyone so far to the right and so openly so that Alex fucking Jones has been trying to give them off-ramps to get out. When Alex Jones is distancing himself from your right-wing position, you've really achieved something. So I thought I'd open this with an example, probably my favorite example in the entire broadcast of Alex Jones desperately trying to give Kanye West an out after Kanye has lauded Hitler. And Kanye's response. So we'll just play that real quick.
I don't think Hitler was a good guy. I get the Hugo Boss uniforms, amazing. But I mean, just because you're in love with the design, you're a designer. Can we just kind of say like you like the uniforms, but that's about it?
No. There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things.
There you go.
Wow.
A lot of things that he loves about Hitler.
So this is the guy that he goes by Ye now, right?
Yeah.
Yeezy, wasn't that one of them?
At one point, sure.
Was there like a Yeezus? Do I remember him like leaning into it that far as well?
I think that was more of a just how he wants everyone to think of him.
Okay. Let's actually like change my name too. Yeah. I've got a new one for him.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah. Yikes.
Because I was like, oh yeah.
It's literally shocking. It's hard to shock me at this point. But and he doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on this thing. Literally, at one point, I saw a Twitter thread where somebody was like, "This is out of context," and I'm like,
"What?
You have not been paying attention," because literally every clip, you cannot find a context in which it's okay, in which it mitigates anything about Kanye going, "I love Hitler." Literally, there's just no place where that works. There's no context where you're like. I mean, unless you're talking about like the context that I'm in, where you're catching me saying, "I love Hitler," and it's just a quote from Kanye. That's like the one context when you're quoting someone else where, Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. And here's the thing. He's been palling around with this Fuentes guy. So Nick Fuentes is this young kid. We played several clips of him on the show over the last few months. A rising star of the Hitler Youth,
the white supremacist movement,
and he and literally like he talks openly about this sort of thing. I was tempted to play a clip of him on his most recent show where he lamented that all the mainstream media was talking about with this Kanye interview was the Hitler stuff. What about all the other good stuff in the interview? Why isn't the media talking about that? So weird.
Yeah.
But also he doesn't disavow any of the Hitler stuff.
No, of course not.
Because he is fully a neo-Nazi.
Right.
So I just, we talked about this trend last week. We talked about Nazism. It's just but the brilliant thing that's happening now, now that Kanye and people like Fuentes are literally just saying the quiet parts out loud.
Which is the rule. That is the rule with this. On like the white supremacists that have any kind of platform, microphone, whatever, right? Like
you're Alex Joneses of the world.
Exactly. You dog whistle, you dog whistle, you dog whistle. Because then when people say, well, how can you say such an outrageously racist thing? They're like, oh, you're woke, you're crazy, I didn't say that. Right. It's like you're taking it out of context or whatever, right?
You give yourself these ways out from around it.
Right.
So that everyone in your audience understands what you're saying.
Right.
But you have plausible deniability.
Correct. And you get to keep saying it. And if your audience grows, then, you're reaching more people who become desensitized to the kind of things that you're saying and are maybe more amenable to your worldview. Right. And so
which, to be clear, is the same worldview that Fuentes has.
Exactly.
It's just you don't say it.
Cameras off, microphones off. Yeah, Alex Jones is like right there with these guys. Right.
But literally, he is shocked. He, the whole time, is like, well, I wouldn't go that far. Well, I wouldn't say that, but
right.
like
You
Alex
wouldn't
Jones!
say it. But
Literally Alex fucking Jones.
Yeah.
You know who else is disavowing now? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I love this one. Yeah.
She literally earlier, I think this year, accepted an award from Nick Fuentes on stage at the something PAC, like America First PAC or whatever convention.
Right.
Which is literally just white supremacy. And we've heard Marjorie Taylor Greene actually defend white supremacy, but she's like, well, or no, sorry, Christian nationalism is what she defended. She's like, we should be in a Christian nation. That's the one where they've started to experiment with, can we say this out loud sort of thing.
Right.
Christian nationalism, by the way, everyone, is white supremacy. There's no difference. They're literally the same. They're different branding of the same product.
Right.
But so she knows Fuentes. She has shook his hand in public in front of, he smiled for the cameras, accepting an award. She is on the same page. But when this shit went down, all of this stuff with Kanye, and Fuentes literally I don't think he got a word in edgeways on InfoWars, but he was there with Kanye. So like the association is just inherent in it.
Yeah.
And now Marjorie Taylor Greene is basically, she had a whole thing on her show. She has some podcast or, whatever.
Of course she does. Because that's what the cool kids do.
Right, exactly. And she was saying, like, literally you could take full sentences long clips of what she was saying and it could have come out of our mouths. Like, she literally said Nick Fuentes is a racist. She said he is, quote, a very immature young man saying hateful things about people.
True.
What are you talking about? That's you. You're literally, and it's literally just, once they are this out loud and outspoken and brazen, then the whole rest, all the dog whistlers have to throw their hands in their pockets and like, no, nothing. I never believed that.
Yeah. Yeah, we need Kanye out there getting this press and saying
I think it's great.
Yeah, because it's the whole thing is like, when did they start actually being willing to, like, I mean, we've watched the rise of it, but like, when did they start being so brazen, right? Yeah. Like, oh my God, this used to be a thing that everybody knew. Everybody knew. Even the most racist, awful people knew. They couldn't say it, right?
Right.
And they couldn't even really dog whistle it back in the day, right?
Right. Yeah, the big Trump innovation is that you are now allowed to do the dog whistle.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, this breaks it. If somebody's out there actually breaking the big rule, and you have everybody like a Marjorie Taylor Greene and company having to, like, backpedal and like, oh God, who is this guy, distancing themselves and disavowing and blah blah blah. Like, she has her reach, and she has people who follow her who are like, oh well, yeah, she has to say that, right? Okay, whatever. But you have other people who are now not going to be getting the dog whistles, hopefully, from her for a little while. Hopefully, right? I don't know. Maybe the dog whistles will continue.
And she. Like, people who thought that they were safe with both her and Fuentes.
Yeah.
And now all the Fuentes lackeys, all the Fuentes-y guys are disavowing her.
Yeah.
And they're throwing her directly under their buses.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing. Like, shit's imploding.
I mean, hopefully, like, this is early days. It can all, like, rearrange itself into something new and horrible.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Like, I'm not 100% on the side of long term. This is a great thing, right? Like, who knows how this is going to play long term, but
yeah.
In the meantime, right now, people having people like Marjorie Taylor Greene being put in uncomfortable positions, and being a little worried as, I don't know, members of fucking Congress. Right. Yeah, it's good. I like that. But Kanye's saying horrible, awful things. He's unhinged. There's something, I mean, we know something's wrong with Kanye. We kind of know what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
a mess.
It is a mess. And I don't know what the takeaway here is. If other than this is the natural conclusion of a lot of this like extreme right-wing quiet stuff. Like, and literally, I think we can point to it and say, is this what you want, Uncle so-and-so?
Yeah.
Is that what you're after? Is this what you believe?
Right.
Because if it's not, then you need to back off of a lot of your positions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because this is the natural conclusion of that position.
Yeah. I think there's obviously a lot of racism in America, right? But I think that there's also a lot of, clueless racism, right? For like, I don't know the right way of saying it without it being like dismissive or whatnot, but like there's a lot of people who in their heart, they don't think they're racist, but they harbor racist attitudes, right? It just needs to be like pointed out and whatnot. When stuff like this comes along, those people don't want any part of it because they know it's ugly. They can see how it's ugly, right? And
to this point, I don't think that Trump has disavowed any of the stuff that's come up. I mean, he's not a Kanye fan anymore because Kanye asked him to lower himself to be his. Like Kanye said, Trump, you should be my vice presidential running mate in the 2024. That is delicious. That is my favorite thing that Kanye has ever done, because I'm sure that it infuriates. Why don't I have video? Why do we not have video of the rage in Trump's eyes in that moment? I need that video. Someone smuggle it to me. I need it.
Oh, funny.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like Trump has said, well, I don't know who this Fuente guy is. I don't know anything about it. But he didn't disavow the views.
Right. No. And that's huge. And that needs to be pointed out over and over and over.
Yeah. Until he does, at which point all the Trumpites have decisions to make.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Trump's one of those guys who has made a career out of not doing his damnedest not to alienate his extremist followers.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see it.
No, probably not.
So there you go.
I wouldn't hold my breath for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is the stand down and stand by guy. So let's Anyway, well, if you have a racist aunt and uncle and you'd like to talk about what this is going to lead to for you guys, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. Our telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Yeah, there's one on Discord, there's one on Facebook. It's a great place to be. Anyway, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.